Good morning. Today we are discussing Aristotle's Poetics Part 8, and this Part 8 is about Chapter 15. We have already discussed 14 chapters and we have discussed the qualities of plot, we have discussed the uh, elements of tragedy, we have discussed the definition of tragedy so far. So now let's discuss the one of the most important element of tragedy, that is tragic hero, the protagonist or the tragic hero. What should be the qualities into the protagonist? Let's start. Now Aristotle turns in this chapter his attention toward the character of the tragic hero and lays out four requirements. And what are the four requirements? Number one, first, the hero must be good. The character of the hero denotes the hero's moral purpose in the play, and a good character will have a good moral purpose. So, first thing, that hero must be good. He should not be a wicked person like Gabbar, or he should not be a clown like Johnny Lever, or he should not be a man of, you know, less moral values. Like in today's times, the kind of dramas, the kind of movies are being picturized are they actually there we have antagonist, the one who is a protagonist but has the qualities of of a villain as well in himself. So Aristotle does not approve that. In Aristotle's time, it was a quality for a good tragedy, for a proper tragedy, that the hero must be good, and the character of hero denotes the hero's moral purpose in the play. If the character would not be good, there would be the hero would not be carrying any moral, and the moral is purpose of the play is to have a character with a good moral purpose. Otherwise, the purpose of tragedy, of arousing pity and fear, that a person who is passing through happiness to misery and having wicked qualities or bad qualities in himself, is not a person of good character, would not be accepted by the audience. Now, second, let's move to the next quality. The second, the good qualities of the hero must be appropriate to the character. For instance, warlike qualities can be good, but they would be inappropriate in a woman. So Aristotle defines it, gives the or illustrates it with the example of warlike qualities, that there should be good qualities, but they should be appropriate to the character. Means the character which we are seeing on the stage or which we are reading in the story or narration, we are that is before our eyes, should be appropriate and should possess the quality. The character should be according to the qualities of a man. Now when he says the warlike qualities can be good but they would be inappropriate in a woman, this is not, we cannot say that this is suitable in present times, because women are equally warlike and they equally participate in wars. They have the qualities, they have the skills, fighting skills, and this is very common to look at. But Aristotle was not of this mindset. He never liked women to be warlike. Okay. Then, next quality, third, the hero must be realistic. In other words, if he is drawn from myth, he should be a reasonable semblance of the character portrayed in myths. If you are taking a character from any mythology, a mythological figure, suppose a drama based on Ramayana, and you are carrying the character of Rama, he should be of reasonable semblance or reasonable similarity of the character that is portrayed in the myth. It should be very much, whether not it is the story of Ramayana, but it is, even if it is based on Ramayana, the character you are portraying in the drama should look or appear very much like the character portrayed in the myths. For example, if Homer is Ulysses, for example, let's take the example of Ulysses or Odysseus. Like Homer has portrayed him, and then Tennyson has also portrayed him. So the qualities of the character should be carried in such a way that it should look realistic to the readers. Next, the hero must be consistent, by which Aristotle means the hero must be written consistently, not that the hero must behave consistently. It's not about the behavior of the consistently, but he must be written. The way the poet has written, the character of the hero must be a consistent way. Like a man has a various, dynamic character, and there are many dimension of his characters, and he accepts that the same some characters are inconsistent, but they should be written so as to be consistent in their inconsistency, even though they are inconsistent, but it should be portrayed in such a way that they should look consistent. If he is a good, he should be consistently good. There may be some bad times, the few times when he is bad, but they should also be portrayed in a way that they should not break the chain of the consistency. Like the plot itself, the behavior of the character should be seen as necessary or probable. Like, okay, we should not be astonished, we should not be surprised by the behavior of the character in accordance with the internal logic of their personality. Okay, we know the character, we are familiar with him or her, or we are familiar with their personality, and suddenly he does something which we cannot believe, will not be acceptable according to Aristotle. Although in present times these laws, I don't think people are following these laws, but Aristotle wants the drama to be written in such way. Thus, a correct character may behave inconsistently so long as we can perceive this consistency as stemming from a personality that is internally consistent. So the character must behave, he can behave inconsistently, but this inconsistency should be grasped by the reader and should be a part of consistency. Okay, so these are the four requirements of the tragic hero. What are these? First, the character must be good. Second, he must be appropriate to the character. Third, he must be realistic. And fourth, he must be consistent. From these requirements, Aristotle thinks it clear that the lusus or denouement should arise out of the plot and not depend upon stage artifice. So, if these requirements are fulfilled, if a plot should be written in such a way, if the character is being portrayed in such a way and designed in such a way, Aristotle thinks that the lusus or the denouement, that is the end of the play, okay, denouement which comes after the climax, should arise out of the plot and not depend upon stage artifice. It should automatically lead the events to the end of the drama, end of the tragedy, and the writer would not depend upon the artificiality of the stage. Both the characters and the plot ought to follow a probable or necessary sequence, so that the lusus should be a part of this sequence. Both the character and plot both should be followed by a probable or necessary sequence. There should be a probable sequence, a necessary sequence, so that the denouement should be a part of this sequence. Okay, like and should not and also should not come all of a sudden to us. It should be a part of the process. Now he says improbable events or the intervention of the gods should be reserved for events outside the action of the play or events beyond human knowledge. If you are infusing the appearance of gods, if you are infusing some supernatural elements, they are the portions which are out of the play, out of the drama, they are beyond human knowledge, and the actual incidents themselves should not rely on miracles but on probability and necessity. You should not feel that the hero is going to kill the villain, okay, and he has not worked anything in order to kill the villain, but all of a sudden some god comes and empowers him and he kills the villain, like the Rajnikant movies. Okay, so that is again that should be a part of probability and necessity. Now he says in order to reconcile first requirement that the hero must be good with the third requirement that the hero must be realistic, Aristotle recommends that the poet should keep all the distinctive characteristics of the person being portrayed, but touch them up a little to make the hero appear better than he is. So he can keep all the qualities, all the distinctive qualities of characteristics of a person that are portrayed, that should be portrayed, but uh, he should touch them up a little to make the hero appear better than he actually is. Okay, he should be portrayed better than he is in reality. For example, in the Iliad, Homer repeatedly describes Achilles' hot temper and yet makes him exceedingly good and heroic nonetheless. So, although the Achilles in Iliad has been portrayed as a god of hot temper, but Homer has been successful in portraying him it in a good and heroic quality. So, these are the qualities of good tragic hero. When a tragic hero will pass these tests of good presentation, good portrayal, then only he will be able to be a perfect hero for the tragedy, and he will be able to make tragic flaws or hamartia, and then only people will be able to trust on him, believe on him. Whatever is shown on the stage will be grasped by the people easily, and they will love to watch it, and it will arouse pity and fear in them, and it will purify or purify the emotions of pity and fear, or it will provide catharsis of the emotions of pity and fear into the audience. So what Aristotle says is the end of the tragedy, or the object of the tragedy, or intention of writing a tragedy, is to arouse pity and fear, and it depends much on the art of the poet, how he portrays the character, how he writes the plot, how he designs the drama. So you can say on these points, basis of these points, one can judge the drama whether it is it is being categorized in that category or not. Okay, so that's all for now. That was the characters or qualities of the hero or protagonist according to the character, or basically he calls him the tragic hero. Okay, so that's all for now. If you have any doubts, any questions, you can ask me into the comment box, or you can directly message me on my WhatsApp number. And I hope you are enjoying poetics. Thank you very much for watching. See you. Have a nice day.